The night Ada Ora turned 16, her grandmother called her by a name nobody had ever used before, Nkaruka. "That is your true name," the old woman whispered, eyes filled with something dark. "And you must never speak it out loud. If anyone calls you by that name, someone you love will die." Ada Ora laughed at first. She thought Grandma was just being old and strange again. But that night, her little brother Yuzo died in his sleep. And the last thing he had whispered to her was, "Good night, Nkaruka." After the burial, Ada Ora stayed silent. She didn't speak to anyone. She just kept hearing her brother's voice in her head. "Good night, Nkaruka. Good night, Nkaruka." She went to her grandmother and cried, "Why did he call me that name? How did he even know it?" Her grandmother didn't answer. She just pointed to the forest behind the village and said, "Because the spirits are waking up. And you are the reason." That night Ada Ora had a dream. She saw her grandmother as a young girl, standing in the forest, holding a clay gourd tied with red rope. Voices came from the gourd, loud, angry, crying voices. Her grandmother turned to her in the dream and screamed, "If you ever open this gourd, the past will find you. The name will become you." Ada Ora woke up shaking. She ran into her grandmother's room. There under the bed was the exact gourd. She crawled under the bed and touched it. It was cold. A snake hissed and slithered from behind it. She screamed. Her grandmother rushed in and slapped her hard across the face. "Did you touch it?" I just wanted to know what's inside." "You never want to know what's inside." After that night, Ada Ora changed. She started seeing things other people couldn't. At the stream, she saw a woman washing clothes with no face. In the market, a man walked past her twice. Same clothes, same cough, same limp. Birds followed her. Dogs refused to go near her. One day, her friend Ifioma called her Turuka by mistake, jokingly. 2 days later, Ifioma fell from a tree and died on the spot. Ada Ora begged her grandmother, "Please tell me what's happening to me." Her grandmother simply said, "You are becoming who I once was. But I tried to stop it. I failed." Weeks later, Ada Ora found an old letter inside Grandma's calabash. The letter was dusty and torn. To the girl born with the name Karuka. "You are the key. You are the curse. You are the door they have been waiting to open. Your grandmother opened the door. You will finish it." Ada Ora froze. Her eyes filled with tears. "So this was never about protecting me," she whispered. "It was always about using me." That night, she waited for her grandmother to fall asleep. Then she crawled under the bed again. This time, she didn't stop. She untied the red rope. She lifted the gourd. She whispered her true name, Nkaruka. The clay cracked. The walls shook. The floor opened. And from the darkness below, something called her name back. Not softly, not kindly, but in a voice that sounded exactly like her own. Ada Ora froze. The voice that echoed from inside the gourd was chilling. Cold, chirp, exactly like hers. "Nkaruka," it said again, louder this time. "Come back home." The ground beneath her feet cracked slightly. Dust floated in the air. The candle in the corner blew out on its own. She backed away slowly, clutching the broken gourd. Her heart pounded like a talking drum. She turned to run. But her grandmother stood by the door, holding a cutlass. "You opened it," the old woman said. Tears ran down her face. "You opened the very thing I spent 60 years trying to lock away. I just wanted to know the truth." Ada Ora cried. "I wanted to know who I am." Her grandmother's hand shook on the cutlass. "You are Nkaruka. You were never supposed to find out. That name is older than this village. Older than this land. Older than me." Ada Ora dropped the gourd and fell to her knees. "Then tell me everything." Her grandmother took a deep breath and began to speak. "A long time ago," she said, "before this village had roads, before we had names, there was a woman who gave birth to a girl who could see what others could not. She could hear the cries of the dead. She could speak to rivers. She could heal with just her hands. But one day, she made a mistake. She looked into the eyes of a dead god, and the god cursed her." "The curse?" Ada Ora whispered. Every first daughter born in her bloodline would carry the same power and the same punishment. Adora's lips trembled. So, you're saying, I'm that daughter? Yes, her grandmother nodded. And I was the one before you. Suddenly, they both heard the voice again. Furuka, Furuka. It was coming from under the floor now. From a crack that was slowly growing wider. What's happening? Adaora shouted. Her grandmother didn't answer. She grabbed Adaora's hand and began to chant. But the ground burst open. And from it rose a tall woman, her eyes black like night, her skin glowing like burning coal, her mouth stitched shut, but still speaking without words. Adaora couldn't move. The woman stared directly into her soul. You opened the gourd, the woman said without moving her lips. Now you must choose. Choose what? Adaora cried. You either join me or replace me. Her grandmother screamed, Don't listen to her. Don't let her touch you. But Adaora was already stepping forward. Something about the woman felt familiar. A strange peace fell over her. Her heartbeat slowed. The voices in her head went quiet. Then the woman raised her hand. Inside her palm was a mirror. Adaora looked into it and saw herself, but older, colder, her eyes like the goddess, her skin cracked with secrets. She dropped the mirror and fell backward. No! She screamed. I don't want this. I just want to be normal. The spirit stepped back into the crack and smiled. Then you shouldn't have opened the gourd. The ground closed. Silence returned. Her grandmother fell to the floor, unconscious. Days passed. The villagers avoided Adaora. Her friends no longer came around. Even her own mother wouldn't let her enter the house. She sat every day beside her grandmother's bed, watching her sleep. No one knew if she would ever wake up. And all Adaora could whisper every night was, I wish I never opened it. I wish I never knew you. But the wind would reply with just one word. Nkuruka. On the seventh day, just before dawn, Grandma's eyes slowly opened. Adaora had fallen asleep by her side, her head on the wooden chair. She woke up when she felt a hand touch hers. It was her grandmother. Her voice was weak, dry like cracked earth. But her words were clear. You still have one chance. Adaora sat up fast. One chance for what? Her grandmother pointed to her chest. To break the curse, you must return the name. Adaora blinked. I don't understand. The old woman coughed, then whispered, You must find the 3 parts of your name, the name behind your name, and bury it in 3 places. Which places? Your mother's tears, your father's blood, and the place where I first called you Nkuruka. Adora's eyes widened. But I don't even know where that is. Her grandmother closed her eyes again. Her hands slowly dropped. And before Adaora could speak again, her grandmother stopped breathing. The villagers refused to help bury Grandma. They called Adaora a witch. They said her curse had now fully arrived. She carried her grandmother's body with her own hands. She dug the grave alone, behind the old mango tree. But before she covered the body, she whispered, I will finish this, even if it kills me too. As she dropped the last handful of sand, the wind blew hard, stronger than it had all year. And in the distance, she heard it again. Furuka, Furuka, Furuka. But this time, the voice wasn't calling. It was warning. Adaora left the village. She walked for hours, barefoot, through bush and mud, until she reached the town where her mother now stayed. Her mother opened the door but didn't hug her. She only stared. I need something from you, Adaora said. Her voice was calm. Her eyes were empty. I need your tears. Her mother frowned. What are you talking about? I need you to remember what you lost. I need you to cry. For Yuzo. For Grandma. For me. And slowly her mother dropped to the ground and wept. Real, painful, chest-breaking tears. Adaora collected them in a clay bowl. She buried them under the mango tree near their old house. The earth shook for 3 seconds, then stopped. 1 done. 2 more to go. Her next journey was to find her father, the man who abandoned them when she was a baby. Nobody knew where he was, but the name written in Grandma's diary was Chijioke, son of Nadazi, the blood giver. She walked through 2 villages before finding him. He was sick. He sat outside his hut with flies buzzing around his leg wounds. She walked up and said, "I'm your daughter, Bedora." He didn't answer, but he looked in her eyes. And he knew. Without speaking, he picked a sharp piece of wood and pricked his finger. He let his blood drip into her hand. Then he said, "I don't know what you are, but you're not just my child." Adaora buried the blood beneath the roots of a dead tree. The sky turned dark. The birds stopped singing. For 1 full minute, everything went silent. 2 done. 1 more to go. She returned home, to the exact spot in the backyard where her grandmother first called her Puruka. She dug into the soil with her hands. Beneath the dirt, she found something round. A mirror, wrapped in red thread. She picked it up, and in it, saw herself again. But this time, the reflection smiled. Not a happy smile. A dangerous one. Before she could even breathe, a voice whispered behind her, "Bury it now, or become me forever." She turned. There stood the tall woman again, the one from the gourd, the one who looked like her. Adaora dug deep. She buried the mirror. She whispered, "I return the name. I return the curse. I return the power." The ground began to crack open beneath her feet again. But this time it wasn't smoke that came out. It was fire. The fire rose fast. Not like normal fire. It was red, but also gold. It danced in slow motion. Adaora stood still, waiting for the pain, waiting to scream, waiting to burn. But the flames didn't touch her. Instead, they wrapped around her, like cloth, like a wrapper made of heat and light. The tall woman, the spirit, stood beside her, her eyes burning like 2 suns. She said, "You have returned the name, but now you must choose a new one." Adora's lips trembled. "I don't want any name. I just want my life back." But the spirit shook her head slowly. "Your life as Adaora is over. You broke the chain. You buried the curse. But something must rise in its place." The fire flickered, and the spirit whispered, "Choose, or remain in this fire forever." The wind roared. The trees bent. The ground shook. Even the sky turned red. Adaora closed her eyes. Her body was weak, but something inside her was peaceful. She remembered her brother Yuzo's laughter. She remembered her mother's singing voice. She remembered her grandmother's face, before all the secrets. Then she opened her mouth, and softly said, "My name is not Adaora. My name is not Nkaruka. My name is Obianuju." The spirit gasped. Even the fire paused. Obianuju, a name that means, the one who came in the middle of wealth, but brought peace instead of war. The spirit stepped back, then whispered, "You have renamed yourself. Now you are free." And with that, the fire disappeared. The ground closed. The mirror cracked fully and turned to dust. Adaora, no, Obianuju, fell to her knees and cried. But not from fear, not from pain, from relief. When she returned to the village, they were already waiting. All the elders, all the women, all the children. Some still looked at her with fear, but others looked at her with wonder. She stood tall and said, "The curse is over. The name is buried. I am not who I was." Nobody clapped. Nobody cheered. But a little girl walked up to her and asked, "What's your name?" She bent down and smiled. "Obianuju," she said gently. And for the first time in her life, she believed it. That night, as she lay on her mat, she heard a sound outside her window. Soft footsteps, like someone walking in the sand. She got up, opened the window. Nothing, just trees, and wind, and moonlight. But as she turned around, her grandmother was sitting on her mat. Eyes dark, mouth shut, hands folded. She wasn't breathing. She wasn't moving. But she was staring. And in that same, soft whisper, "You buried the name, but names are like seeds. They grow back." Obianuju froze. Her heart dropped. Her breath stopped. Grandma's ghost sat there, silent, still, and real. "You buried the name," she repeated, "but names are like seeds. They grow back. Obianuju shook her head. No. No, I ended it. I buried everything. The tears, the blood, the mirror, everything. Her grandmother's ghost didn't blink, didn't move, didn't speak again. She just slowly smiled, and then disappeared. 2 weeks passed. Things became calm. No whispers, no spirits, no more strange dreams. Obianuju began to laugh again. She even played with the children in the village. One day, as she walked near the river, she saw a little girl sitting alone on a rock. She walked up to her and asked, "What's your name?" The little girl looked up with innocent eyes and smiled. Then softly replied, "Nkaruka." Obianuju stepped back. No, that's not your name. That name is gone. It's buried. The girl tilted her head and asked, "Didn't you hear? Names grow back." Obianuju's legs weakened. She fell to her knees. And behind the little girl rose the tall woman with black eyes again. But this time, she wasn't smiling. That night, the villagers heard a scream. Filled with sorrow, they ran to Obianuju's hut. But it was empty. Her mat was still warm. The candle was still burning. But she was gone. Some say she walked into the forest. Others say she followed the girl. Some believe she became the next guardian of the name. But one thing was sure, no one ever called her Obianuju again. And on quiet nights, when the wind passes through the village, it doesn't whisper her old name. It doesn't whisper Taruka. It only asks one question. Who will carry the name next?